All right, thank you everyone for being here, and I welcome you on the AIM powered roundtable discussion at the MachineCon GCC India. So just to introduce myself, my name is Himanshu Verma, and I am VP of Engineering as well as site head for a company called Eventbrite, which is one of the largest marketplaces for conducting events. Hopefully someday AIM will be conducting it on Eventbrite as when we launch in India. So and of course, I think in this session, we want to definitely talk about leveraging AI for cutting edge product development as well as innovation in GCCs. So we'll go into the discussion, but let's start with some introductions.
Hi, I'm Manish Menon from a company called ZS. We are a tech and consulting firm, primarily working on AI tech implementations, mostly focused on healthcare, but we still do have clients outside of healthcare looking at primarily sales and marketing and supply chain kind of problems for our clients.
Hi, my name is Shubho Broto Ghosh, go as Shubho. I work for Allstate Corporation. It's the first Fortune 100 insurance behemoth in the US, primarily North America market. Some of the subsidiaries work in the global side as well. I work in the GCC here and take care of all data analytics and AI work that is happening out of the GCC.
Hi everyone, my name is Isaac Matthew. I'm part of Kenview. That's the consumer health division of Johnson & Johnson that was spun off last year. So you may have heard of Aveeno, Tylenol, Listerine, Stay Free, Orsul. So those are all our brands, right? So Kenview is relatively new. So I head the AI ML practice for the GCC here in India.
Hello everybody, I'm Abhijit Nirkaje. I head the data science and analytics practice for Falabella India Private Limited. Falabella is a Latin American conglomerate. The best way to think about it is it's the Tatas of Chile. They are into retail, they're into banking, they're into real estate and many other things. So I head the data science practice here, and I head globally the data science for the marketplace.
Hi everyone. Hello. Hello. I'm Kishlay Raj, and I'm from Philips. I head the analytics practice for GBS, which is the GCC capability for Philips. Having said that, all the different consulting engagements, propositions, what we see here within Philips from the GBS standpoint across the businesses, functions, and markets. So that is what I take care of it.
Hi, audible? Hello. Yeah, hi. This is Prakash Pillai here. I head the emerging database in UBS. Now UBS and Credit Suisse together. So we are into different businesses like investment banking, wealth management, and asset management, and the core banking. So I am part of Pune team here and lead the global emerging database team. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Tamim Kamaldeen. So I work for a company called Alstom, which is a rail transportation major. And here in India, I am basically the managing director for the signaling and infrastructure business. So when you're talking about the infrastructure business, it involves your electrification, civil track work, and all that. Okay. And so apart from this, we are also delivering globally for for the world for Alstom. We roughly deliver around 7.5 million hours of engineering out of India for Alstom, and pretty much close to around 35+% of R&D globally for Alstom is being delivered out of here, including product ownerships. And we also do a lot of project activity, for Alstom, and we roughly lead close to around 45 projects, metro projects globally. Okay, the entire engineering is done from India, And apart from this, another 40 plus projects we are leading, where we are kind of participating in the engineering around 30-40%. So today pretty much yeah, I think out of every 3 hours that is done by Alstom, 1 hour is done from one of my centers. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Veena and I lead aircraft health engineering at Airbus. And Airbus is the manufacturer for aircrafts, helicopters, military aircraft as well. And we're the market leader when it comes to commercial aircraft segment as well. Nice to meet you all.
I'm Himanshu Shah, part of Snowflake, managing director for Snowflake in India. Snowflake is the AI data cloud company. We started being the cloud data platform. We graduated to being a data cloud, and now we are the de facto AI data cloud. And very proud that we've had the world's largest tech IPO in the history of time. So very excited to be here and discuss the trends. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So it's pleasure to be here, in the august company of all you people, and I'm excited to kind of delve deeper into this topic with all of you, and hoping to learn a lot from your collective wisdom as we go forward into this discussion. And the topic that has been given to us is a fairly broad one. I mean, how do we really leverage AI for cutting-edge product development and innovation across GCCs? And there are multiple aspects of it that we can think about. The first aspect that I want to kind of dive into is, how do we really transform product development using AI? So let me start the proceedings with my namesake Himanshu, and somebody just confused me with him in the morning, and I have given that explanation twice. So let me take that out now. So I mean, we have been a big customer of Snowflake, and I have been in the industry for quite some time. I've been looking at the rise of the company in general, and recent forays of the company into AI have been really interesting. Especially about Snowflake Architect that I saw, some of the work that you guys have done about building that model or a set of models, and it at a very low cost, at a extremely crunch timeline. I heard 3 months, which sounds incredible. So I'm interested to know how you are sort of leveraging, AI in transforming product development within Snowflake.
Sure. Now that's a great question, because we've been part of the journey both in terms of how the AI practices have evolved and how our company has evolved. So obviously we started as a modern data cloud company, as we would have the basis to really host, manage, and create insights from large volumes of data. With the advent of AI, we had the opportunity to build AI integration with the premise that the ecosystem of our product, our platform, allows you to actually run your AI computation and data workloads inside the platform near the data, as opposed to moving the data out where the infrastructure is. And that's the beauty that exists in our setup. The way we marry AI is, of course, when you look at things like inferencing or co-pilots, there's table stakes. That's kind of in the hygiene of doing the work. In addition to that, there is this ability to strongly, Himanshu, integrate the models. You mentioned about the Arctic. Arctic is our own large language model built in a very short span of time. It's a mixture of experts, very truly open source model, where you can take the model, modify the parameters to your requirements. We also have the ability to host native models inside our platform to be able to invoke Cortex function calls into those models, whether it's Llama or Mistral models, and then also the ability to invoke calls to third-party LLMs through the Hugging Face-like interface. Now, obviously, the opportunity sits in how do you capitalize the AI capabilities beyond doing the table stakes work, and for that, we use the LLMs to build AI native applications within the platform, both for building customer zero use cases to share with our customers, as well as for a lot of our internal development work.
Thanks, Himanshu, for those insights. So yeah, moving on from I guess snowy slopes to the skies now. So Veena, how is AI transforming the product development within the airline industry and specifically within Airbus, and how is that different from rest of us in a way?
Interesting. So there are certain distinguishing factors when it comes to the aviation industry, which kind of influence the way we adopt these technologies. Number one being safety. The aviation industry is a very safety critical industry, and because of which we are a little risk averse. So whenever there are any design changes, be it major or minor, whatever be the changes, it has to go through stringent checks, extensive testing, and also conform to all the regulations and authorities before it actually goes into production. So it's the same with AI models as well. So if we plan to develop or deploy AI models, it has to go through all these checks, approvals, compliances, and that is going to be a time-consuming process. The second factor is the complexity itself. So a typical Airbus A350, let's say it monitors around 4 lakh parameters. And an aircraft would have 2 engines. So you can imagine that we're looking at around 20 terabytes of data per engine hour. And if I'm looking at a typical aircraft flight leg, which is of 6 hours, then you can multiply that. And multiply that then with the total number of aircrafts that are flying all across the world, and 365 days a year. And the data that you're looking at is humongous. It's more than terabytes that you're looking at. So the complexity of data becomes huge. With it comes the challenges of data classification, data cleansing, data privacy, bias, hallucination. All this becomes really important, and we got to tackle that before getting into everything else as well. So the integration of AI into the complete product lifecycle, which is actually expecting the aircraft to be developed autonomously from scratch, may be unlikely. But it's got to be more of a staged approach, which means we'll adopt AI in as many use cases as possible, win the trust, and then go on to the next step. So we would go more as a staggered or a staged approach. And today, in fact, there are a lot of use cases of AI and Gen AI which is already established within Airbus, starting with knowledge extraction. We're using NLP, LLM-based ways in which we extract content from all the tech data that we hold. And we provide this to our blue-collar workers at supply chain at FAL. And also, we use it to answer to customer queries as well. There are also ways in which we're looking at how we can use computer vision to have autonomous taxi, takeoff, landing, and also detect anomalies when it comes to all the in-service data, flight test data that we generate. So yeah, these are certain landscapes, but we would be more prepared for a staggered or a staged adoption of all these rapid technologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Veena, for those insights. And it is sort of interesting to know, at least for me, from a completely different industry, that how AI is being incorporated into an industry like aircraft manufacturing. And hopefully it makes the air travel much more pleasant and safer.
I would say it still already is, which is augmented.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to Isaac, you. Kenvue is an interesting company. I mean, on one hand, it has the challenge of product development, especially in the healthcare industry. On the other hand, it is also like a retail company, which needs to deal with all the challenges of sales and marketing and so on and so forth, right? So I have a twin question for you. I mean, in this case, how do you really incorporate AI into your product development? And how do you even decide, hey, which problems to solve via AI in your landscape?
So first of all, there's hardly any place where AI/ML has not touched or has not influenced, right? So I've been in the retail CPG, logistics, manufacturing side all my career. And I've also seen the evolution of AI/ML techniques, be it in terms of capability, adoption, kind of things you can do, what value it adds. So today, we can safely say we are at a point where if you're not using it you really don't know what you're missing. So that's where we are, right? Now, it's been proved beyond doubt that it can add value. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a career, right? So the point is, how do you tackle the development part, the activation or the adoption part, and the value realization part? It's a sequence. That's where the real prioritization comes in. So we've got it in terms of innovation, whether it's R&D, whether it's sales and marketing, supply chain, including people functions, right? It's there, it's everywhere. And I think the prioritization has to be from the business side as well. It's not enough that someone sitting here in the GCC says, hey, this is worth $1 million, you're leaving money on the table if you're not using it. They have to agree to it. So that's where the value realization part, we have to start from that. These are the ones which you think will give you value. Here's how much time and effort it will take for us. Do you think it's worth it? Triage it and then we'll take it from there. So that's how it is. And then there again is a different level of acceptance in terms of some departments take to it much faster than others. There's quite a bit of spread when you look at the geo and the cultural acceptance as well. Some geos accept it much faster than others. And then overlay on top of that, the individual, the variances. Now you get a function, a rough idea of where we are, right? But in general, we've got it going for pretty much all the main functions that we are, touching, and then it is proving value. In fact, we've signed up on our internal OKRs for this is the value realization that we will do. That's a great challenge to have.
Thanks everyone for some insights on this topic. Now moving on, one of the other aspect of AI is that how do we really? It is not so much about integrating AI into various functions that are there. That is already happened in a lot of cases. As AI advances, it will also be important that how do we really reimagine the entire product life cycle and the innovation process using AI, right? Which has been a very people-centric process since time immemorial. So coming to you, Kisle, from Philips. Philips has been one of those companies which have been around for 100 years. We all have grown on using Philips products. It's known for its innovation in variety of industries. How do you kind of harness AI to accelerate innovation cycles within Philips?
Himanshu, right? You have rightly said, Himanshu. Philips has a legacy of around 133 years, and if I go back to the history period, then I would say that it started with transistors, those radios, TVs, and those health care products for babies and also for the individuals. Now it has, I think, for last 6 or 7 years, it has now forayed into a health tech space now. So we still have a partner channel via which we are selling the products which we still call consumer durables, or maybe the electronics machines, right? But we are now at this point of time, as I speak, we are into a health tech space. And when we talk about patients who are the end users, so we have diversified businesses, like if I talk about ultrasound, MRI machines, image-guided systems and image-guided therapy devices, IGTS and IGTD. Then we have health system products also, right? So all of these products are going through different channels of innovation. And all of these innovations are possible via using technology as an enabler. Otherwise, we would not have been using IGTS and IGTD. To give an example of how the innovation is taking place and what kind of sophisticated yet very precise kind of instruments have been devised and developed in the healthcare space. Like if we talk about open heart surgery, there was a time when if somebody wants to go on an open heart surgery, they would have to get admitted in the hospital. Your heart will be opened, and then surgery will be taking place, and then you will be allowed to leave hospital after 7 days or 10 days, right? After those hypercare and all those taking care of the patients and all. Now, because of this IGTS and IGTD, so let me explain you. One is system and one is devices, right? All this open heart surgery has become really very fast. A person can get their heart surgery done. Now it is not called open heart surgery. It is just called heart surgery, or robotic heart surgeries you can call it out. A very small incision of a millimeter size will be done in your body. Two parts of the body. maybe one at the left-hand side and maybe one at the right-hand side. Millimeter side incision will be done. From one of the incision, your robots will be inserted via wire, and from the other incision, a camera will be inserted. And then you will have IGT systems which will be displaying in the operation theater, which clinicians and doctors would be looking at using some augmented reality as well. So you will be getting the 3D images in front of the doctors in the OT, and they would be looking at the augmented reality with all the precisions. And the incisions which I talked about, it will be inserted, and it is a kind of robot which will open its arms. It will be all controlled by the doctors using some jockey. If you remember jockey, we used to play video games at one point of time. So that is how those robots are managed, controlled, using those AR images, 3D images within the OTs. And you will have just 2 cuts, right? It's really 2 small incisions. And you'll be allowed to leave hospital after 1.5 or 2 days. So that is the power of innovation. But this innovation has been, it is all possible because of the technology, right? Augmented reality, when we talk about augmented reality, it is nothing but one facet of the entire artificial intelligence or machine learning we are talking about, right? Robotics, it is the way we are doing all these automations across different processes. Like if I talk about Philips GBS, then we have, under my domain, I take care of all the different analytics or advanced analytics, I would say, across functions like procurement, supply chain, product data, then finance, CNC, R2R. And all of these functions are cutting across all the different businesses and markets as well. So that is the power of innovation I would like to talk about. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for those insights, Kisle. So coming back to Veena, to you, I mean, Airbus as a company has been fairly innovative across. I mean, it was, I think, the first company which started doing bionic partition in 2015. Trying to build like aircraft parts via machines in some sense, right? The question to you is, how do you really use the AI, or have you started using AI just to, I would say, accelerate the innovation within the company? What are the strategies that you have been using, which will be useful for other GCCs to incorporate as well?
Yeah, so I would keep that simple with a twofold approach. One, embrace a culture of experimentation and failure. We can't expect the AI models to be 100% reliable and to the dot, and the right model to be used in the first go. So if you do not embrace a culture of experimentation and failure within the company, people do not try. So I would say that's step number 1. Second, we also sort of have to recognize and empower these community of AI practitioners that develop within the company. Because there's a lot of crosstalk that's required, a lot of collaborations that is required. I think as one of us mentioned, AI is for everybody. It is not just for engineering. It's in fact even for HR. It's even for procurement as well. So there's a use case to everybody. So the more you recognize and empower this community of AI practitioners, the easier it is to sort of crosstalk and collaborate. So this would be my twofold approach, and I think Airbus is doing it quite well. Because the concept like Gen AI is completely democratized in the whole company. And within 1 year, we were able to come up with more than 600 use cases for it. And I don't think it would have happened had we gone with any other approach. Thank you.
Thanks. I think, that's an interesting and important part. I mean, having a culture of innovation and using a tool like AI to kind of accelerate that is definitely the way to go. So coming back to Abhijit, I want to hear that. How are you guys doing it in Falabella?
So, I'm from a retail company primarily, and I don't have the risks which I have to deal with, that Veena has to deal with, or what you have to deal with at Philips, right? I can control the risks to a fairly small scale and experiment more quickly. So, rubber meets the road for AI much quicker in retail space. And in Falabella, we use it all across, primarily search recommendations, and all our product life cycles have become a lot shorter because of AI, right? We use AI for our, primarily for, as a retailer, to improve our findability of products and improve the efficiency of how we manage our retail functions like supply chain and pricing and things like that.
All right. Yeah, certainly I think it's an important point. I mean, there are the use case in in retail, and I also come from a different similar kind of a background with Amazon and a bunch of other companies. It's much easier to kind of run those experiments because the cost is lower. And cost, when I say risk, is much lower of doing that. Right? You can always have a completely new recommendation engine. We can't definitely do it in healthcare or aviation or any other industries which have to keep the risk at the forefront. So definitely an interesting insight on that. And the strategies may vary based on that. So moving along to a slightly different topic. I mean, let's talk about AI in market trend and consumer preferences, consumer preference predictions. Now, one of the things that I read is, is that according to the McKinsey research, the AI opportunity for marketing and sales is roughly around $1.4 to $2.6 trillion across the world. Sounds like big numbers, but hopefully they're true. So, and roughly 40% of the value is sort of hinging upon, deep learning techniques, being able to predict the consumer behavior much before they, and not even doing that, but anticipating what the consumers want and using the AI for being able to do that, right? So, coming to you, Prakash. Where's Prakash? All right. How do companies like UBS capitalize on deep learning to enhance personalized client experience in the financial services sector?
Thanks for the question. See, I mean, like as others said, specifically Veena, I mean, like our industry is very regulated, and as we are globally distributed, so regulations of each country is completely different, and we work on a lot on asset management and wealth management, right? So this actually tells us like how do we keep the data very secret when it comes to individuals and all. So one particular solution doesn't work for everybody or every geographical locations. So we do have different functions, innovation guild and an AI function and all. But again, our teams work more on the data, how we are actually improving the data quality of it, how we are actually supervising our AI model by labeling it in a proper way so that we can actually enhance our customer experience and offer them a personalized services and all. So I mean, like we do work with a lot of partners and specifically with Microsoft to explore their co-pilots in different areas in the cloud platform. And that is how we actually improve our model and offer personalized service to our customers, basically.
All right, thank you. So a similar question to you, Shubhro, coming from
Shubho.
this world to Shubho, to Allstate and insurance. I think the same sort of concern applies there as well. You also have the opportunity to kind of anticipate consumer needs and so on. So in those areas, how is Allstate using AI?
So before even I go to answer that question, so I think I come from an industry which is perhaps the earliest adopter of data-driven decision making. Our product is promissory, that if something bad happens, we are there to help you. And how do we, the biggest challenge is how do we price that? So if I mean, there it said that the actuaries were the core of insurance, the actuarial function or actuarial profession. They are the earliest data scientists because you can only predict the future losses when you analyze the past loss history and analyze that, right, and then price it appropriately. So the whole bread and butter or the profitability comes from appropriately pricing. From there to we are in a world where you are not looking at the data which is captured in tables, but the data which is coming in, and she talked about the humongous data which is coming in all that, day in and day out, and it's getting segmented from lifestyle to geographies to different various other aspects. However, there is although we are from the BFSI sector, there is a big difference between from the insurance with its two other brothers from the banking and the capital markets, right? So the biggest difference is the number of transactions. This brother is a little touchy and sensitive. So we have, if you look at this insurance, you buy insurance till you have a claim, you don't, and then otherwise it goes into renewal. Insurance is more like a regrettable necessity. If you don't put a claim, your money is gone for that year. There's no return on that, but you still have to do it to keep yourself safe. So various aspects come into play, and she talked about the risk. And insurers are also technically or technologically little averse, risk averse, because of that aspect. Because we are taking money from our customers and with a promissory note that we will be there when there is a claim. And with that money, we have to be we have a huge fiduciary responsibility. And from a compliance that we have to be unbiased, we have to be there when there is a claim and all of that. So from that perspective, the use of data and AI brings in different complexities. First of all, insurance is where the product is a little more complex, less understood. So the way we are using today, if you see in the recent past or in the last even 10, 15 years, or even I will go back to 20 years. So, in the auto insurance market, the whole telematics came into play. So that how you drive, so pay as you drive, pay where you go kind of thing. So that means there is a personalization coming in, and that is nothing but the classical AI, which we can call it, right? We were using machine learning or the data science and machine learning and all of that. From there, we have come to a stage where customer experience is a big differentiator, because your customer is not coming to you out of happiness. Some loss has happened. It's not that I'm coming to a bank or using a credit card for shopping my favorite product. I am coming to you because there is an unfortunate incident. And that is the time we have to ensure that they're starting from the purchase, because it's a complex product, less understood, to when we are meeting that commitment, we have to be very sensitive to them. And I think the advent of, while we were doing the recommendation piece, the next best action piece from a customer, from the classical AI piece, I think the generative AI has brought in a wide variety of opportunities for helping our customers or meeting our customers in those touch points in a more effective way, or a most effective way. I will give you 2-3 examples. One aspect I want to highlight is that insurance is a highly regulated industry. That means we have to be sure that even our product price, we cannot decide by ourselves. It has to go to the insurance regulatory authority, be it any country in the world, and it has to be approved. Because today, if I charge less price to grab customers, tomorrow I will not be able to have that kind of corpus to fund those claims. So I have to be very conscious of that. So with that aspect, and not only that, even the conversations we have with our customers, there are some regulatory guidelines and compliance we have to. So today, when we are using this generative AI for understanding the customer conversations, prompting the agent who is, or not insurance agent, I'm talking of the customer contact center agent, who is talking to the customer, receiving a claims intimation, or a sale is going on, that have we covered all those compliance related questions? Are we, how the sentiment of the customers over a period of time is moving back and forth, up and down. And those kind of things are very much possible today because of the generative AI. From a compliance perspective, let me take another example where we are supposed to audit our customer calls. Now, so many customer calls are happening, and in a year, and it is very difficult to audit all of them. So we choose, say, 2%, 5%, whatever, and then there's a manpower requirement, and then still we don't get the full picture. With generative AI today, all those can be done in a jiffy. All the customer calls, not only that how the sentiment has gone up and down is, However, one thing I would say from another thing is that documents. We are a very document-heavy business. Simple injury claims, especially if it's a third-party injury. So we receive claim files with medical records and all scans and everything, which run into 1,000 pages. Each file would be about 800 to 1,200 pages. And we have medical professionals who are sitting and going through those documents. So with the generative AI again, it becomes a lot easier to summarize those and get the gist of it and answer that. But nevertheless, I think one important aspect when I want to highlight is that every function wants to use these AI. We have to, and resources are limited. So we need to be very focused on identifying the right value in these use cases. and invest in those and focus on another thing, which is the replicability, the repeatability of those. So I think, from that perspective, insurance is focusing on using of AI more on the customer's experience side as much as it's on the product side as well.
Thank you, Shubho. So one other aspect of this, since we're talking about predictions can go wrong, and we have seen historically as well that, hey, based on a lot of historical data, you predict some version of future which may or may not be true. So coming back to you, Prakash, what strategies can GCCs adopt to improve the accuracy or precision and recall of the of the AI or ML work that is being done?
Yeah, good question. Again, yeah, I mean, like when we talk about AI, it's a combination of tools basically, right? I mean, like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, then you have generative AI. So it all depends upon how you cleanse your data and how do you label it basically, right? And in this, I mean, like to make it perfect, you need to keep the feedback loop running. How closely you interact with the users, how closely you keep the users informed about what decisions you are taking and how that product is performing in the market. So all the elements of data what you're acquiring through a platform. For an example, we use application insight, Microsoft's application insights and Azure Monitor to collect those data. And collecting those data and then feeding it into a right channel through a modeling it and then evolving through it makes this perfect. I mean, like I won't say that it can be perfect in one go, but you need to keep looking into it, refining it, and taking feedback from the customers to make it perfect. So that is how we go about it, basically.
All right. So rapid prototyping coupled with a feedback loop,
right,
to continuously improve on the relevance and recall of the models. Right. Fantastic. So let's move on to a slightly different topic. I mean, let's talk a little bit about generative design and product prototyping. So coming into the world of transportation now, Tamimim. And Alstom has been a fascinating company in the sense I love trains and I use it in every country wherever I go, including Korea and which Alstom owns and so on. So Alstom, I was reading that, hey, you guys have been kind of have a I would say partnership with 3D Spark and have a design to print strategy. Hopefully someday we'll see like a printed train. So I'm interested to know how Alstom uses generative design tools for design innovation, product prototyping, and what are the learnings from that other GCCs can use?
Thank you, Himanshu. I think if you had asked a couple of more questions to Veena, I think I would have had to say ditto on that. Okay. See, basically, we are also an extremely, safety regulated, we have to go in for so many homologations and all these kind of things. So that being said, I think when you're talking about, AI, when it comes to, product development, I think, there are a lot of safety elements, that are in our product, okay, because most of the products that we do, they are, the safety integrity level, most of them are in the 4 range when it comes to, protection, okay. And so considering that, I think if you look at it, the utilization of AI today, okay, when it comes to our product development, okay, I think today, it has been more in the, in the visualization and in the simulation phases. Okay, so that is where I think, we are using AI a little bit more. Okay, definitely. I mean, there are a lot of tools, that are there. We have ANSYS, we have Altair, Dassault 360. All these things. I think we are using it. But majorly, I think if you look at it, simulations. I think basically, if you look at it, see, whenever we are going in for, whenever we're going in for a train system. Okay. A lot of times, people ask us about, how energy efficient, because, we are talking about sustainable mobility over here. When you're talking about that, many of them, people ask us, for how can you, come up with the most energy efficient system. Okay, so when you're talking about that, what happens is, we are able to kind of come up with simulations, okay, using, deep learning and AI and all that. with that, we are able to come up with simulations which are able to replicate the system to roughly close to around 2%. Okay, with a 2% accuracy, I think we are able to come up with systems, okay, which we are able to demonstrate to the customers. Okay, so that before we go into any complex manufacturing, because how much time it takes to conceive and make a train. Okay, so these simulations definitely they're helping us in a much better way, supported by all these tools that I spoke to you about. Okay, and definitely on the visualization space, I think each customer wants a certain look and feel, and also he wants it in the most efficient way. So that being said, I think using all these kind of tools, I think we are able to kind of show him the right thing in the most efficient way. We are able to do that. Apart from this, also we have also come up with certain innovations. Okay, where we have done some prototyping and some innovations. I think today one of the interesting things that, or rather not so interesting things that we see in the paper is, the newspapers is people just jumping on tracks. Okay, so where this brings us to this element of obstacle detection. So obstacle detection, I think we have been able to use AI as an extremely powerful tool. Okay, where what we are able to do is, we are able to have, cameras mounted on trains. Okay, where, we already have a kind of a reference image which is there, and based on the reference image that is there, and with cameras where we are using, both thermal sensing as well as optical sensing and all that, we are able to kind of, tell, whether it is a live element or it's a different element. Or, in fact, this has also been implemented in Indian Railways, where, they had this challenge of elephant crossings quite a lot. Okay, so to prevent that, actually, that has been done using AI modeling, actually. Okay, so these are some kind of things that we are doing. And another major element that we are doing is, I think today, if you look at it, most of our metros, okay, you hear about a lot of accidents, right? Okay, that is because a lot of time, there is so much of human intervention, in the driving of trains that happen in our Indian environment today. Okay, so with AI, we are trying to remove as much of human intervention as possible. So today, if you look at it, we have a driving technology called automatic train operation. Okay, where basically we have been able to simulate, different driving cycles. Okay, which can take the train in a safe and a very efficient way. And the person on board, he is just more a kind of a, what you call, observer for certain, untoward instances that might come up. Or a recovery person, okay, he is more like that. So these kind of things, for automatic train operation also, we use a lot of AI models based on which, we are able to run these trains. In fact, in India itself, I think most of the projects, today if you look at it, I think more than 60% of India's metro lines, okay, we have roughly around 2,600 kilometers of metros going on. Out of this, roughly around 1,400 kilometers is done by Alstom. And they are done on these technologies. Okay, so we are already there, and I think hopefully, if we are able to kind of, mimic these technologies into our Indian railway system also. Okay, in fact, Kavach is also, along those lines only. Okay, where, you are trying to kind of, make use of referential data to be able to kind of stop the train, okay, in a concise way. Because I don't know how many of you know, to stop a train. Okay, basically, let's take, you have say TGV. Okay, Alstom does this TGV. It's one of the fastest trains in the world. Okay, to stop the train that is running at say around 300 kilometers an hour, from the time you apply an emergency brake, it will take 3.2 kilometers for you for the train to come to a stop. So imagine the amount of accuracy that you need to put in, and so with automatic train operation, even if the driver is, if he's done some kind of a mistake, we are able to take over that. And then we are also working on autonomous trains in a big way. Okay, that is also, a lot to do with, providing the train with eyes, and, you are able to take decisions on the fly. So this also we are able to enable it using AI. So these are some of the areas that we are, kind of focusing on today in terms of product development, and, trying to make rail more sustainable and more safe.
Thank Thank you, Tamiman. I think it is very fascinating to know about autonomous trains and what is the work that is being done, and AI is being useful in those cases. Certainly, there is a lot of scope. At least in India, we have been seeing a lot of train accidents here and there. Definitely, if we can do something in that direction to make that the probability of accidents go really really low, that will be very interesting to know to do. So. Uh, Coming back to you, Himanshu, on a slightly different note, I mean, when you integrated, let's say, something like generative AI into the or generative design, I would say, into your traditional product development routine, what kind of challenges did you run into, and what did you do to kind of overcome them?
Sure. I think that's a great question because it's so new. We've had challenges. Uh, the obvious challenge comes first from the fact that using the new age tech, whether it's LLM or some of the ML functionality that comes with the platform, needs a lot of unlearning, Himanshu. And that's been a big thing. Like, my dependence on my mental capacity needs to reduce because there is something else that's going to come into play that I need to leverage. So that changing and training your mind has been a big opportunity. And that needs like an institutional change across your practitioners, both the technology practitioners and to Veena's earlier point, when you talk about having democratization of AI, it needs influence that spans across the organization. So that has to be built into the design of adopting the new age practices. So changing the mind and training has been a big challenge. And we've done a reasonably good job at that. And that's one big thing that comes as, if I look back, what the efforts that we put in to really make life happen with the new age AI data cloud. The second challenge comes from the fact that, let's say I have really a bunch of smart individuals that know how to capitalize from the new tools, whether they use them for inferencing or for increasing the iterative velocity of the work that they do. Sure, you've done it, but how do you really measure that effectiveness? Because I'm one individual who has used this. There are probably 4 individuals that have not used the ability to increase the iterative velocity. How do you then make sure that that individual's knowledge, the productivity gain rubs on to the others? Because you can't have the disparity. Because then you don't know if that productivity loss is causing some kind of a loss, okay, for the organization in terms of time or money or whatever outcomes you get. So that's a challenge to make sure that there is a fair amount of knowledge distribution, fair amount of access to these techniques, and then for those who become the champions to be able to create more champions. The third challenge comes from the practice itself, the non-deterministic nature of these tools. Because of them being non-deterministic, the improvisation needs for the practitioners to provide previous inferences as references for future context. If you don't do that, then your tools will always surprise you with a new thing because of the non-deterministic nature of these AI, LLM tools or models that exist. And certainly, that needs both a little more experimentation to make sure that you do it right, to make sure that you are providing that productivity gain across the organization. And thirdly, and far more importantly, for the industry to recognize that the non-deterministic nature of these tools is a big opportunity to fix the game at a large scale, if that makes sense.
All right. Yeah, I think that's interesting part. I mean, one of the things that about AI and ML in general has been worrying me for a large period of time is the non-deterministic nature of it. If a tool makes a decision and nobody can explain why, it's a problem. And it's an even bigger problem for industries like aviation, like, where security and all that is very, very, a very big concern. That hey, something is not working, but system cannot tell me why. So it's a fascinating part of this study. I think we have been doing a lot more correlations, but not lot less causations. I very recently stumbled upon a few papers that people started writing that, hey, how do you really determine causation across 5,000 different variables that are there, right? And find the real root cause of something that has happened. So it's an interesting emerging area. Hopefully we'll get there with AI, that it can self-explain why a decision has been made. Yeah. So moving on to a slightly different industry, Manish, with you, and some of these concerns are really, really there in the healthcare industry as well. And certainly I think ZS is making, some interesting strides into streamlining that entire process. So my question to you in a different word is that one of the ways people use AI is to, hey, how can I really reduce my time to market? So I'm interested to know, in the healthcare industry especially that you come from, how exactly AI-driven automation and process optimization playing a role in reducing the time to market.
So, good question, and I think very similar to what he said. Healthcare is an industry where you don't willingly become a customer. You don't want to be a patient. And if you become a patient, you want to get out of it as soon as you want, right? So, same security standards apply to us. As we look at time to market, I think if you look at diseases, there is a lot of literature that's generated every day, right? Be it a chronic disease, be it a rare disease, well-known disease, or a newly found disease. And biggest challenge that we or our clients face is in terms of how do I get all that data together to know if there are things that are changing in the disease journey, or things that the patient should know, or new tools that doctors can use to diagnose, right? Or new tests that can be used, or new ways of reading tests, right? Because if you talk about, you have genetic data, you have hormonal data, multiple types of data that your body gives out. With these variables coming in, there's more real-time data with CGMs and so on and so forth. So I think what we have used Gen AI effectively is to, first of all, bring all these literature together and give summaries. We have focused also a lot on explainable AI and ethical AI, because again, all you do in healthcare is with consent and ethics of patients and with doctors. And last, I think one thing as we go from experimentation to scale is whatever we experiment with, again in case of healthcare, might be models that might be deployed anywhere. So you might have models that you can deploy on your own premises, or models that can go to hospitals, or models that can go to pharmacies, or models that can go to clinics. And each of these entities are at different levels of tech, right? So some hospitals are very tech savvy, but some are still on like old versions of Oracle, right? So you need to have models that can run in mostly all of these archetypes that exist. So that's where most of our work goes in, is make this deployable in multiple ways, make the, get the knowledge of the disease and the industry as quickly as possible when we start.
All right, yeah. So Abhijit, same question to you as well. In retail, how is it helping you reduce time to market?
So I have a very tactical way in which it has helped us in recent past, right? See, our products eventually get developed because of conversations between business folks, product folks, and developers. And typically each of these people carry a different mental model of the problem and the solution which is coming out, right? And hence we tend to iterate a lot more and try to zone in on whatever is the problem which we are solving and the solution which we are bringing out. With Gen AI and everything else, right? I mean, I think the barrier to building a looks like or a works like prototype has come down significantly. I don't need to scale. I don't need to build something big and fancy. But what used to be a back of envelope design and an idea can be more real and tangible for in retail for somebody to test and learn or explore and play, right? So I'll give you a very concrete example. You know, when you go to Myntra or anywhere, you see these recommendation carousels, right? So let's say there is a unique type of idea you have about selling products based on some way customers are interacting. Now, building a whole scale model will take time, right? But you can always build a small prototype very quickly with Gen AI and with all these co-pilots coming in. And that has significantly helped us in shortening the development life cycle.
Fantastic. So, same question to maybe to you. You know, how in an industry like railroad or transportation has AI help you in reducing time to market?
I think time to market is extremely important for us, Himanshu. See, just to give you an example, okay. For example, let's take a locomotive. A locomotive, what we are supplying in India, maybe it costs around 8 million. Okay, that's the cost of a locomotive. Okay, you will complete the locomotive, and then finally you will find that there is one small piece of software, which is maybe 10,000 euros. Okay, because of which your entire 8 million is held up because you are not able to test it. So what we have been able to do is, I think this digital twin concept and all that, okay, I think that is really helping us in a big way. Where I was talking to you about simulations, right? So now we are able to create, digital twins of our, of our overall, systems, okay, with which we are able to test it much before even the system, actually goes to the field. Okay, so that you are able to kind of make the system more safe and more efficient. Okay, this is really helping us in a big way. More than the development part, like as I told you, because development, we were speaking about the challenges that we are having to being deterministic, right? So because of that, we are not able to use it as much in our development. But definitely, in our testing element, I think that we are able to use it much better, and because of this, I think we are able to improve the time to market that we are having today. This is a very critical element for us today.
All right. Thanks for that. So, Veena, you want to add something to that?
So he spoke about digital twins. I'll speak about another concrete application, which is predictive maintenance. So let's say before the advent of the so-called AI wave and all of that, there are around 340,000 parts in a typical Airbus A320. Let's take an example for that matter. So there are scheduled maintenance events that happen, which is your routine checks, and then there are unscheduled maintenance which happen because of these in-flight events or something. So if there is an in-flight event in the yesteryears, what would happen is we would wait for the aircraft to be landed, and then there would be the local MRO team which would connect, download the data from the aircraft. Then somebody is trying to even analyze what warning it is it really a fault, what is the criticality of it, and so on and so forth. And then it is sent to the maintenance control center to take action. And if there is a spare requirement, and if you have a spare available, well and good, you take it. If not, you raise a request. And if it requires more deeper analysis, then you go and give it back to the engineers out there. So this whole process could take a lot of time. And anybody who knows or understands a bit of the aviation industry would also know that we do not like aircraft on ground scenarios. We want the aircraft to be up in the air as early as possible because it costs a lot of money and nobody likes it. Come predictive maintenance, what happens is when there is an in-flight event or let's say a maintenance message, there's somebody out there who's already monitoring the events that is happening. If it is requiring some action, already it's furnished from the tech data as to what would be the required actions that needs to be taken. And if it's about requiring the utilization of spares, there's already a request raised, and you either have the spares or you already have the request in the queue. And if it requires, if it's not a critical event, and if it's something that can be timed with the next periodic scheduled maintenance, then you accordingly optimize it for the next cycle. So a lot of automation, a lot of time is saved, and a lot of maintenance optimization is also done in place. which kind of helps both customers as well as UAMs and all the partners in line.
Fantastic. I think that's an interesting insight into the maintenance world. So coming back to a slightly different topic, I mean, I think one of you talked about how in an organization the AI teams and the product development teams are always are on a different plane altogether. You know, one is thinking more about efficiency, other thinking is more about what new product to build and so on. So Prakash, coming back to you, how can we get the AI teams and product teams to work together to drive innovation, while ensuring that the AI insights translate into actionable product development strategies?
Yeah. So the focused AI team, kind of a central function, can work on the platforms, and how do we enable the product teams to evolve on their product. So we need to set a clear channel of communication between those, and set a proper goal and work towards an outcome-based goal basically. And we need to have an AI expert embedded in the product team, so that we have a domain expert who works towards the backlogs to refine it. How can we achieve the go-to market in a right time basically. If we see in a product, there are two things. One is the toil, and the other thing is new features. So how do we reduce the toil, and how do we actually enhance the existing feature? So this particular AI expert can help the product team, the domain experts and the technologists to work towards that goal to achieve that particular target. Yeah.
All right. Shubho, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I will take a cue from there, but I think the answer lies in the question itself. The moment we say there is an AI team and the product team, I think we are making a mistake. Because to my mind, there is only one product team, and it's like a mission. So in mission, you will have an explosive expert, you have a sniper, you have a reconnaissance guy, and that kind of thing. I'm talking of a commando mission. So the moment you define a product team, you bring in certain capabilities to that team, and the product design itself has to define the roadmap and what capabilities we will bring. Because we need to understand that we have moved from when we say product, AI today could be a product by itself. So when we talk of ChatGPT, that's a product by itself. It has its own roadmap. Then we have ChatGPT 3.5, 4, 4.0, all that. That's a product by itself. And then you have products which have AI embedded in it. The core, it could be a recommendation system, it could be a text analyzer, sentiment analyzer, whatever. So that's why I think we need to change our mindset from that perspective and bring in, and then the dichotomy which has remained so far since the data science and analytics happened, and the technology team has been always struggling with, like, data scientists requiring data and the technology team is sitting on the data, not able to give access to availability to the clean data, the data pipeline from that perspective. That has come into that has flown into this new AI world as well. But I think that is changing. Even if I talk of Allstate as an organization, the way we are changing today is completely moving from the project mindset to product mindset. So we have these digital product teams which are bringing in capabilities from a business architect perspective to the technology. Within the technology, there could be a digital product manager and the engineers who are managing it, the delivery piece, and then the AI piece. And from there on, the identity is not like you are product team, you are AI team, and so from there, we are the product team. We need to make it successful. Another thing which alluded to, which is the prioritization. I think the backlog is the killer thing. I think the prioritization has to be very important. And we are following something called ruthless prioritization. That 30 days, you define, design, discover what is the value this product is going to bring in. And if that is not, I'm going to scrap it. Fail fast, fail cheap. Don't invest in it, don't run for it for 18 months and then say this is not going to work out. So I think every capability has to work together, and that is the mindset change which needs to be driven from top, left and right. I think the biggest thing is that change and the transformative thing of change of mindset. I think that's a big.
All right, thanks. I think, that's a very interesting point that most of the companies are, I think, grappling with where to place AI experts into their organizations, engineering, data science to product to where all, you know. So yeah, that's an interesting part. I think we need to think a lot more deeply about where and how to kind of transform the organizations as well in order to be a lot more effective in using AI. So moving on to a slightly different topic, which is, how do we really measure the impact of AI on product innovation, right? While everybody sort of agrees that a productivity enhancement using AI will be the winner. Uh, while productivity is one part, the other part is ROI on those projects. As I was hearing one of the speakers speak in this conference, that hey, nobody's really green lighting the POCs anymore. We are out of that. We need to get real. AI need to really make a real dent on the balance sheet of the company, either bring in revenue or reduce the cost, right? And that is how most of the CEOs and boards are looking at it, that hey, we have been investing so much into the AI, where is the ROI on that, right? So Abhijit, coming to you, what are some of the matrices companies can use to see how AI is, let's say, shaking up product innovation, right? And how do we keep fine tuning those matrices to bring out the real ROI in the investment that is being made?
I think you kind of brought up a couple of things along the conversations, right? First is, of course, the productivity. Second is safety, and third could be, in some sense, looking at the quality of the product, right? So either of these, the goal of this product team, the embedded product team, and stating that upfront and committing to something very concrete is very important, right? Well, there is not much room for random experimentation. So, which means then you'll need to have a very prioritized product strategy which is aligned to what you're building. I think if you can do that, then essentially you'll align to the business goals. So I would say just keep it at that, right? I mean, there isn't too much science in that. It is just that we can't buy into the hype cycle too quickly in terms of the product development. We have to kind of tie to the business outcomes very quickly.
All right. So moving to you, Chrisley, let's say in a innovation-driven company like Philips, and where there's always a demand for always-on innovation engine. How do you do that? What matrices do you use to essentially ensure that that the ROI is always there?
So we are technology innovation company. That's right, Himanshu. And in fact, I would like to give you one stats here. Almost 6% to 8% of the sales revenue which we get across globally, Philips, we invest it again in the R&D department, right? And the R&D department is located here in PIC, which is headquartered in Bangalore only. That is, having said that, that means that we are heavily invested in the ever-changing technology landscape, which is in the name of generative AI, sometimes in the name of cloud computing, sometimes in the name of cryptocurrency, though cryptocurrency is not our cup of tea still. But I'm just talking about the phases in which these technologies are getting changed and the hype it is getting generated, right? But at the same time, what is happening is organizations are trying to nurture or leverage that capability or build that capability within the organization without getting into the details whether it is really required or not. I'm coming to the part of your question where we really trying to address the productivity savings or value creation out of all those innovations we are trying to make within an organization. So I think creating that culture, changing that mindset is the foremost important part of any organization, be it Philips or any organization, right? So if I talk about my organization, then the idea is, of course, we want to become a technology or innovation company. That's an idea, that's a vision. Once that vision is there, you have to put certain goals and objectives across all the leaders, across all the across all the different branches of the organization within the leaders. So that is foremost important part. Once you have the vision that you want to get into the technology space, may say, for example, generative AI, you want to leverage that capability. we need to understand whether that awareness is amongst all the leaders across the organization is not. If that is not, then it will still remain with the execs and it will die there. Right? So the idea is, once you have that awareness, put a goal, put an objective for all the leaders. Like for myself, I have an objective, I have a goal to actually achieve certain value creation or productivity savings of this much euro values. Right? That is the goal. And that goals actually needs to be percolated to each of the business leaders as well as the market leaders, as well as the functional leaders. Then it will actually be a combined effort, bringing all these stalwarts from different functions, businesses, and markets, coming together, creating a team which is looking forward to an innovation, which is maybe giving an ROI after 3 years or 4 years. Right?
All right. Thanks for that, Kisle. So let's move on to a slightly different topic now, and let's maybe go around the room because this is the exact same question. So what do you think will be the most exciting AI trends that are poised to reshape and redefine product development across industries? So let's hear it from all of you. You can start from the left. Your predictions for AI, for product development.
Yeah. So I think with reference to product development, explainability will be one thing. How good are the models on LLM to explain why they reached a certain decision, especially in healthcare? That's going to be a key thing. And I'll add one more because I think we have a lot of people, everyone. I don't want to have all the points. I think the next will be in terms of something where you can have kind of a citizen AI product developer. So everyone need not be an expert in AI to contribute to product development. So can you have models with co-pilots or whatever it is to help create citizen AI product developers? Might be something that I would at least look forward to.
I think there are two aspects of it. One is from the tangible products perspective, where a lot of that what Kisle was mentioning about the AR, VR kind of thing, that AI can contribute, especially with this multimodal thing. And I'm taking an insurance industry example. So if I'm training a batch of new claims adjusters, we use PowerPoint slides, some images, some videos and all. Today they can go along, as if they are in the real world, and they can carry devices which, if they are in stuck, that, how do I inspect this? It can show actually how things, you just scan the object, it will start showing. So that is one area I'm very excited about, the whole AR VR perspective. The other piece is the speed at which we develop product. That itself will take a leap. And the reason being is that you can visualize and de-risk certain things by rapid prototyping early on. Even, you don't have to wait for like the code. Because AI generated code, you may have 20,000, worries to deploy in production. But in a pre-prod or a, test or an MVP environment, you can quickly develop and test it out, starting from a simple website to a complex application. So I think these are the 2-3 areas I am seeing. I'm very excited about that, how it will happen.
So I'll talk about two directions in which we are headed. One is a very smart intern heading towards Jarvis, and the second is disintermediation, right? And we're already seeing some signs of both of these. And I'll not be able to talk about my work part, but I can talk about the personal projects that I've done where I've seen some of these. The smart intern being, having information at your fingertips, getting right information at the right time so that I can take decisions faster, I can design things faster. Some of these auto GPT kind of capabilities that are already there today, right? Today it can build a prototype in 25 minutes continuous runtime, and then probably it might time out because you're using the free version. But a prototype in a business meeting like this, where you're talking to the stakeholders and you have a person who knows how to build a solution, is possible today, right? And I've tried out some stuff where there was some optimization involved. I've done something in my past, so I know it's doing the right thing. It built the Python code for me. And on top of that, it built a simulator for me in React, which I don't know anything about, right? So we're already there. So if that happens, now time to market, before you say time to market, you already have something out there, right? And so that will only get better. So this, having a coworker or an intern who's very, happy to help out, that will definitely go towards a Jarvis mode, slightly not too far in the future. The disintermediation part, I'll give another example where we are talking about building, let's say, a sales and marketing kind of solution, where today we are sitting with people who have actually done sales on the ground. And what works is a two-way learning, because the data scientists on the ground have no clue how the distribution works in India, right? But someone who's been there on the ground, if we educate them a little bit on the data science side, and the data science team picks up a little bit from the business, the solutions get better. And that is happening much, much faster in a more productive way than in the previous steps, right? Previous era. And that's also being helped a lot by some of the Gen AI kind of solutions that are being built, because it's easier to translate what the other is saying and you're able to get to the solution much faster. So the disintermediation was going to happen because you don't need an army of people who are currently, there, but it will happen in the near future. A lot of disintermediation will happen. You don't need too many people. You need someone who has a problem. You need someone who knows how to operate these fancy tools. You'll get the solution, because ultimately at the end of the day, you're not selling a drill bit, you're selling a hole.
Yeah, the bottleneck in product development life cycles has been shifting for the last 20 years, right? Initially it was the capabilities in math. For most of us, not for the companies which build ChatGPT, but for most of us who use ChatGPT and all these other things, all the tools, right? So the capabilities in math would be the bottleneck, and if you didn't have the best data scientists and the best tools like MATLAB, you wouldn't be able to develop the product. Then came the open libraries, we got the better data science tools. So the math bottleneck went away. Then became the compute. Now compute is shared, so compute bottleneck also went away. So what is happening now is many people are empowered to build models. So models become more pervasive. So the bottleneck now is in terms of controlling the risk. Because a lot more models get developed at various parts of your company. How do you manage risk? How do you manage what goes out to the market and ensure that what is being built by a bot plus a human is not screwing up your brand and image? That's I think the trend where we are moving towards.
All right. Isle? Your predictions for AI in near future, which will drive better adoption of product development and innovation.
Shubho was talking about wearables, right? But though India is still a little bit behind, though we are still picking up on the health tech space, on the different gadgets or different instruments or different machines where we can actually expedite the entire experience of a customer. And here our customers are basically our doctors, our clinicians, or the patients, right? Say for example, an innovative product, let me take an example. We can have a wearable which we can wear inside our body, maybe inside our shirt, on this particular arm, and that will be based. No. And that will be based totally on the prediction which the data has done for that particular patient. So we have predicted that such and such patient will going to have a heart attack, say for example. So stroke is one of the common diseases. Everybody, at certain age can be predicted to have those kind of diseases as well. So a person who is predicted can wear that particular wearables, and the moment, and that will be actually monitored by maybe ABC hospitals on a real-time basis. Say for example, a certain time and date has come and he got a stroke. That very moment, the data will be actually captured by the hospital, and he will connect to the particular patient that this is what you have happened, this is what we have figured out, monitored at this point of time, and you need to rush to our hospital maybe in such and such time. And things will be fixed, resolved, then at that very point of time. So that is the capability of the innovation or the technology I'm talking about. In the real time, we can still fix up the things which can take later bigger problem, which can become a bigger problem for the patient at the end of the day.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. So as expert says, so AI is not just a tool; it is a new digital species, basically, right? It will help us to shift left, okay, move towards cloud, generate less net code, so that you can reduce the carbon footprint. But at the same time, you need to be very careful on how you curate it. If you develop a self-healing capability, then it can be a scary thing. So I think it has both positive and negatives, but yeah, there are a lot of industries which it can actually change completely how it operates now.
Tamima, what will be your predictions?
I think the main thing is, we need to look for quick and impactful wins using AI, okay, because, we are talking about business impact, right? So unless and until we do this, I think, it should not be seen just as one more fad, okay? And what I'm noticing is, in the industry, just because this word AI is there, everybody is trying to bucket whatever they are already doing into AI, okay? So as a result, everybody thinks that, they are doing AI. I think we have to come out of this thought process, okay? And we should start really imbibing the actual aspects of AI. Okay, the AI framework, whatever is, I think we need to imbibe it in a much more, true way, I would say. Okay, only then I think, we will really see the benefits of AI, and, people also, not just a fad, it really continues to be, where it should be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Veena?
So, in my opinion, infusing AI into digital twins would be very interesting, because then what we are looking at is a digital replica wherein you can anticipate, iterate, and experiment literally all scenarios before it goes live. And that would be powerful.
Yeah, that's definitely a fascinating idea.
I'll keep it very simple and hopefully as short as possible. So obviously, expertise-based models will be the key. Assuming safety, security, all those elements, Abhijit, you mentioned those elements. Keeping them in mind, you'll see a lot of specialization. Like there's something called as protein language model. You feed in proteins, you infer the data that is being prompted to create new proteins that didn't exist. So that level of specialization will happen, needs to happen both to solve special situations with limited capacity of infrastructure required. Not everyone's going to afford H100s to be at their discretion all the time. So that certainly needs reshaping of the approach to build specialized solutions. That's kind of my takeaway.
All right. Yeah, with that we have come to almost an end to this discussion. It's a fascinating discussion. I really enjoyed talking to all of you and learned a lot in the process. I hope we had a lot more time. I'm getting signals from the organizers to end it. Otherwise, we could continue to have this conversation for a very long time. So thank you very much for your time to have this conversation, and thank you for the Analytics India magazine for organizing it. I hope all of us, at least I had a lot more to learn from various different industries, which we don't end up talking to, in a way. I never knew what industries like, transportation or healthcare or airlines or aircraft manufacturers are doing in AI. So thank you very much for all the insights into your words, and hope collective wisdom is important for the GCCs to evolve it forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.